What's going on, sports card hobby family? Another day. It's Friday. Thank goodness we are back again for another sports card video.
You take the card and put it in the sleeve.
Today I'm going to talk specifically about a card that I am looking at that I've been targeting. Hint, hint, there's a painting behind me. 2018 Prism Blue, the true blue out of 199 Luka Dončić rookie card. But we're going to deep dive today, guys. So stick around all the way to the end because we're going to kind of make comparisons at this price point. What are the other options out there? And actually just kind of talk through the whys and the why nots behind a variety of different cards. So this is going to be an in-depth talk. So if you're here to really dive in, then welcome to the show. We've got our Friday shoutouts first. VintageBreaks.com and the Vintage Breaks YouTube channel. Guys, they've got a giveaway March 10th in 2 days at 4 p.m. Not only are they giving away free spots in their 1964 Topps baseball card set break for anyone that goes to their live YouTube chat and mentions Sports Card Dad. Not only that, but Sports Card Dad viewers who register will also be entered into a free giveaway, like I said, that ends on the 10th, and that lucky viewer will win a free spot in the 1952 Topps baseball near set break for a chance to win a Mickey Mantle, believe it or not, 52 Topps and a PSA 1. Do we have pictures, Frank? Let's get a picture up, please. Vintage Breaks, not only doing vintage cards, but also breaking the newer stuff, 2023 Prism basketball hobby boxes, for example. Always a lot of great bonuses and giveaways, so make sure to check out Vintage Breaks YouTube channel and VintageBreaks.com. Shout out to Wooten Sports for all of your card needs on Whatnot. Wooten Sports Cards, 10,000 followers, 5-star reviews. You got to check out Wooten there on Whatnot, the live selling machine. It's just a fun channel. You guys know I mention it. He's a football card guy. He's got a variety of different things, but especially the football card stuff, I am all about it. So check out Wooten Sports Cards. And for non-sports cards, Jay, we got to get his IG up here. Duke and Cards on IG. Incredible non-sports, a lot of vintage Disney, a lot of really cool, unique, niche stuff that you probably haven't seen or heard before. Jay collects all of it. He has a massive inventory of his own collection that he has graded out. He's selling some of it as well. So make sure to connect with him on IG. Reach out to him with any sorts of questions around non-sports. But like I said, the vintage non-sports stuff, I know a lot of vintage baseball card collectors, for example, that also like to dabble in, the vintage Disney cards or the vintage DC or Marvel cards. He has got all the info for you, so definitely check it out. All right, friends, let's go back in time a little bit. It's crazy. I feel like have nostalgia from the pandemic area going back to 2019, 2020. This was 4 or 5 years ago only. This isn't 30 years ago. In 18, I was picking up mainly vintage cards. I got a Pete Maravich rookie card, a PSA 6. I got a Jim Brown PSA 3 rookie and a few others. But in 2019 summertime, that's when I was like, you know what? I'm going to start speculating on some of these newer players. And so I bought into Patrick Mahomes and I bought into Luka Dončić, among others. But those two in particular, I really focused around. I bought a handful of the base Prisms and a PSA 10 for $70 and ended up selling those on the rise up at $500 to $700 really. And I was like, man, I did amazingly on those. Of course, famously, they went all the way up to $2,100 sales for that card. But $500 to $700, it was 8x what I had paid for it. 10x, I guess, for a couple of them. And so it was just stupid, crazy money back then. I also bought Revolution. It was a brand where you could get good cards and the parallel versions for fairly inexpensive prices. Bought a few of those. Those had gone up and resold those as well. And Patrick Mahomes, it was kind of the same sort of thing. I remember going back in time, PSA 10s were $350, $400 for the Prism rookie card. And I was like, man, I can't spend $400 on a single card. That's just absolutely nuts. Of course, famously, and we'll talk about that card in a few minutes, it's now 10x that. Even after the highs and the lows, it is 10x what it was when I was looking at those in the summer of 2019. So I bought nines. I bought nines at $130, $140, and again, kind of sold those on the way up. These are kind of the wins. There's plenty. Believe me, there's plenty of losses along the way as well, but this is going back in time when spec really started to move up on the modern players. Well, this card in particular, I actually have a painting of it. It's been on the radar as one. It was kind of like a grail card for Luka. Now, I understand there's gold prisms and there's better cards than this one in particular. But for me, I'm never going to own a gold prism. I'm never going to shell out six figures for a piece of cardboard. I love cards, but that's just never going to be me. I would much rather have a variety of different things at lower grades than have the high grade that's 50K or 100K or something. Maybe I'll win the lottery and my mind will change on that or something, but I don't play the lottery, so it's tough to win if you're not playing. But I just don't see that ever happening. This blue, though, this blue is numbered out of 199. There's a BGS 9 that recently sold for $3,900. And so it's kind of creeped down to a point where it is within striking distance. However, there's a lot of other options at $3,900, $4,000 to $5,000, as we all know. If we look back in time, I was looking at it, the PSA 10 for this card at the all-time highs in 2021 went for $78,000. The BGS 9.5, which there's one that recently sold at $6,800, it was as high as $50K. So we're talking about like 80-90% drops on price for this particular card. And for me, I know that Luka hasn't won anything yet. I know that he might never win a championship, and maybe he's not always on the Mavericks. You know, maybe he moves off to the Lakers, or he goes to a team. He does the super team thing, you know, where he goes with a couple of his buddies. I know a lot of people speculated he's going to play with Jokić at some point. We'll talk about Jokić in a little bit too. You know, we're looking at it as now, and he's a kid still, really. What is he, 24 or something? 25 maybe? He's still kind of coming into his own, but he is a top 5 basketball player in the world, in the NBA. And this is a card for me in particular. It's kind of one of those cards I never thought I could get into, because I remember looking at these prices when it was $10, $20, $30, $40, $50,000 plus for this card, and I'm not really worried about it. I would be fine having this in a BGS 9. I don't need to have a PSA 10. I just want a copy of it. I would even buy, if there was a PSA 7 or something that popped up and it was at a discount, you know, it was $2,000, I would buy one in an instant. If everyone's so worried about the grade and the condition, I'm more worried about just having a copy of it. It's numbered to 199. I know what the print run was, 199. And so I'm not worried about it being, you know, a 10 or a 9. It goes back to the buy the card, not the grade. And I understand there's going to be some people that want the best of the best. So they like this card and they want to have the 10 in this card. Fine. That's totally fine. I'm not really worried about that, though. But of course, I think like most people, you look at spending $4,000 or $5,000 on a card of an active player. And if you're going to buy a card of an active player, you would want it to be of an active player that has done some stuff, I would assume, right? They've won a title, they've won MVPs, or maybe both of those. And we will talk about a player that's done that in a couple minutes. But first, let's look at kind of another option in this price point. A 51 Bowman Mickey Mantle rookie card. Now, granted, this is the one that like went through the bike spokes. This is a beat up copy. It's just an authentic SGC grade, but it's sitting there on eBay right now. I think it's $5,200. Buy it now or something, and maybe they would work with you on it. And if I see this on eBay for $5,200, I have to assume that maybe at a show I could get a copy of this for $5,000, maybe even $4,500. You know, if I'm able to wheel and deal in person, maybe even less. I'm not sure. I'm not a Mickey Mantle expert. I'm not a Mickey Mantle market expert at all. Maybe I could even get one in a 1, maybe for $5,000, $6,000. I don't know. It probably depend on the copy. Doubtful though. Probably doubtful. But regardless, I think the main point is the 51 Bowman Mantle rookie is probably a top 5 hobby card of all time. So of all the cards that have ever been printed in the sports card hobby, the 51 Bowman Mantle rookie card, I would say it's a top 5 card. So I could speculate and just get a card that I think is awesome. I've got nostalgia and be kind of emotional about this Luka card for $4,000 or $5,000, $5,000, $4,000 or $5,000. Or I could have one of the top 5 cards. Granted, beat up copy, not in an 8 or a 9 or a 10, but it's still that card though. It's still a copy of the most important card, one of the most important cards on the planet. Now, if we flip back to modern, who's a guy that came out at the same time? The same time I was speculating on Luka, Patrick Mahomes. His PSA 10 Prism rookie card is right at about $3,800, $4,000. It's been very consistent, those sales. Not a mega rare card. Not a mega rare card at all. But, you know, it is an important card, especially now. This guy has won 3 titles, MVPs, like he's doing it. And he's 28 years old. Now, granted, it's football. You know, his career could be over tomorrow with some freak injury. You never know. Bo Jackson, hip injury. He's done. But it's probable that he continues to play. I don't know with his style of play. He's kind of running around. He's kind of a create guy. He's a Rodgers, Roethlisberger. He gets out of the pocket and makes things happen. He also runs, so he's got to be careful. Is he going to be 35 and doing that? Probably not, but this is an important card nonetheless. $3,800 to $4,000, and I struggle with this. I remember when this card was $400. So for me, paying 10x for this card, it's a struggle. So even though he's done all the things he's supposed to do, it's like you're buying kind of all that stuff baked in. I feel like you're paying for all of that. Now, I think for a lot of people though, they might view this card, even if they're paying, for the people that are buying at $3,800, $4,000, maybe they realize there might not be a lot of upside. Like maybe the upside is already built into that price, but they feel there's safety in that card in the sense that this guy has already done it. When Mahomes finishes his career, granted, if he plays another 5, 7, 10 years, he will go down as one of the greatest of all time to play the position, to play the game. He will. And so I think there's probably just a thought of, hey, I can park my money in this, can enjoy owning the card. I think too, it's just a cool card, so I think a lot of people could say like, man, I've got the best player in football. I've got his flagship rookie card in a 10, and that's exciting. So I understand it. But for me, and probably, look, if you're a vintage baseball card collector, you go back 10, 15 years, you're probably looking at the price of Mantle rookies and the price of Mantle stuff. I'm being conservative here. I'm sure it was half the price, maybe even more than that, going back 10, 15 years ago. What was the 51 Bowman rookie card in a 1 going for 10 years ago? I'm sure probably half the price, if not less than that. And I'm speculating a little bit. I'm guessing, but I'm pretty sure that it's had a glow up. It's had a run up here, even with prices kind of falling over the last couple of years. Mantle and Babe Ruth and some of these guys, they have been less affected than, of course, the modern players. So there again lies the issue there is how much upside do these cards have? And again, a lot of it is just if I own the Mantle rookie card and I've placed my money, I've parked my money in there, that's just more about the cool ownership of that card. Being able to say, I own a Mickey Mantle rookie card. That's amazing. That's incredible. And we're going to talk more about just kind of nostalgia buys versus historical figure buys at the end of this. So hang in. For some people, these might be easy decisions, but for me, especially spending $4,000 or $5,000 is a lot of money for me to spend on a card. I've only spent that amount of money on one card, and it's my Black Refractor Breeze rookie card that's signed. That's the only time I've ever spent that sort of money on a card. So I'm going to be extremely picky, especially given all the options. Let's look at another option. Card that I've wanted for a long time, 1965 Topps Joe Namath. I've just pulled up a copy of a PSA 4 that's on eBay right now. It's at $4,000 OBO. I think it's at $39.95 or best offer. So I'm sure you could probably get it a little bit less than that. Again, not a mega rare card. It's 65 Topps. So this isn't, 48 Leaf or something. This is 65 Topps. They printed a lot of them, but it's a tall boy, so it's kind of a tougher grade in the sense that, there's a lot more material there that can get messed up with a stain or a corner or edges, whatever, and just centering on the tall boys is brutal. And some people don't even like the tall boy cards. It's too big. I don't like how it looks. This Namath card for me is it's a magical card. And to be able to own a mid-grade copy, for Namath too, man, if you look at his stats compared to today's QBs, you'd say, man, today's QBs just blow away this guy. But for Namath, there's a lot more to do with historical figure, his role in the expansion of the popularity of the NFL. This is kind of one of those first, these playboys that was also kind of, he had swag going back to the 60s and into the 70s where, everybody wanted to be Joe Namath. This guy was Joe Cool, and, there's something to be said for that. Even though, again, he's probably got less stats. Actually, I know he does. Matt Stafford probably has better stats than this guy. But it doesn't matter. There's a historical figure element to it. And again, just going back in time, he's got one rookie card. Today's players have 1 million rookie cards. So it's an important card in the vintage card world and especially the vintage football card world. So that's an option in this price point. Could own one of those. And then I'm going to we'll go back to basketball here just to kind of round this out. Nikola Jokić is the best basketball player in the world. He might win his 3rd MVP. Who knows? Does Denver go back-to-back and win another title? If someone had told you that 2 out of the 5 best basketball players in the world would be from Eastern Europe 5 years ago, 6 years ago, you'd think that that's crazy. You'd be like, what are you talking about? But that's what we have. Luka and the Joker are 2 of the top 5 basketball players on the planet right now. they're in their primes or entering into their primes or whatever. They're still young. I mean, I know Jokić is a little bit older, 3 years older than Luka or whatever, but it's unbelievable. And if you look at Jokic's rookie cards, I pulled up the 2015 Prism. I picked the light blue Prism because people like that because of the color match. And you'll see a theme here, kind of that blue, that deep blue Prism, the color match. Do I want this one over the red? Yes, I do. Okay, so the light blue Jokić, it's a popular one. It's numbered, I believe it's numbered to 199. I pulled up a PSA 9, is sitting at like $2,800 OBO on eBay right now. That's for a 9. I looked at, there was a 10, they were asking for like $8,000. I haven't looked to see like, is that a good price or not? My gut tells me you could probably get a better price on the 10, but I'm just looking at just did a quick search. This is a cool card. A lot of people, the stigma, I guess, with Jokić is he's a big man, but we don't live in the same NBA world that we did 30 years ago where Patrick Ewing was playing center. You know, Jokić playing center, he's a three-point shooter. He's a distributor. He's like Larry Bird playing center. You know, I mean, that's really what he is. That's kind of more his game. He distributes, he passes well, he shoots well, he does everything well, he defends well. You know, I mean, he is the best basketball player on earth, I think. He's at least top 2, top 3, whatever. And his rookie cards are nowhere near as much as some of the other guys that you would see out there. And I think it's that big man, you know, complex that the hobby has. But the NBA, again, it's not played the same way that it used to be played going back 10, 20, 30 years ago with Shaq down low. Shaq wasn't shooting threes. Shaq couldn't even shoot free throws, let alone threes. Shaq was a true big man. You know, even Tim Duncan, he wasn't shooting threes. Tim Duncan was the ultimate fundamental basketball player. He was not shooting three-pointers. You know, these guys, it's 5 guys on the court that can all shoot long distance. So I wonder, I don't own any Jokić cards, but I wonder, should I have a couple of nice Jokić cards just to add to my collection? Just because I think that they could be, I'm speculating. And basketball cards as a whole have been down. They've been depressed here recently. You know, are they underpriced? Are they undervalued, so to speak? I ask myself that. I'm not stating it, I'm asking it. You know, they've taken a huge hit. Basketball cards were all the rage going back to the pandemic, flip time. Everybody was buying and selling basketball cards, and it has really fluttered. It has gone away, and now it's QBs and it's baseball prospects. Not that it wasn't before, but now it's heavily into those. So I just wonder, you know, should I maybe look to add, especially with prices being depressed, on some of really the best players in the world? What's going on there? So anyway, then I'll round out. I'll even throw in another little kind of turn and twist here. I collect graded comic books, graded action figures, all sorts of other collectibles. For $4 or $5 grand, I could get a Daredevil #1 mid-grade CGC 5.0, a nice mid-grade copy. And for comic books, you've got key comic books. There's very few. People will argue with me on this, but to me, if you're looking at what are the key books, it's kind of like with vintage rookie cards. You know, who are the key players that you're looking for from each sport? Maybe there's 20 players from each sport, from football, baseball, basketball, maybe hockey as well. I don't know if there's 20, but you're looking at kind of what are the key ones. In comic books, it's kind of similar. If you're looking at Silver Age keys, going back, Golden Age is a whole different world. That's kind of like pre-war baseball. But Silver Age keys is really when a lot of the stuff got going. 1963 when Marvel got going. Daredevil #1 falls into this bucket of Silver Age keys for those that don't collect comic books. But there's not that many important titles. And there's only one #1. Whereas now, it's kind of like with cards, modern comic books. You've got a bunch of different covers of #1. You got variant copies and blah, blah, blah. With this, it's the same deal. There's one Joe Namath rookie card. There is one Daredevil #1. There's not a variant cover. There's not multiple copies of it. So, again, and so then that's another decision to make. You know, do I want to put into a key book, a historical book, and it could be Daredevil, it could be Hulk, it could be, you know, it could be a variety of different things there at that price point at $4,000 or $5,000. So it opens up the floodgates as to what is possible. So I want to talk about this particular card, but then just also the thought process behind, you know, why to buy certain things and what is going behind, you know, that thinking. And it's not, of course, it's not always about the dollar return and the money. There's also a sense of just pride of ownership. You know, I would have pride of ownership over this card in the same way that other people would for certain vintage cards, which for them, that might not make sense. They might be like, this is an active player. Why do you care? There's kind of an emotional, nostalgic part of just being able to get into this card, being that I never thought that I could get into it. You know, if we're going back, and again, there's some nostalgia from 2019, 2020, and I enjoy watching Luka play. I do think he's got a bright future, even though I know he's a whiner to some degree. He is not on a championship team, and so I know there's still a lot to be written as far as Luka Dončić's career, but I thought this would be a good video to make because it does it opens up the talking points, because for me, it might be this card and some of these cards that I've mentioned here. And for you, it could be very different cards. So in the comment section, let me know what are the cards that you struggle with? You've got a price point, and maybe it's not $4,000 or $5,000. Maybe it's $500. Hey, with $500, there is a huge variety. With $1,000, again, a lot of variety. Even at $100, $200, you could be struggling between different brands of cards. So let me know in the comment section how this sort of decision making is made for you and what are the things that you think about before making these types of purchases. All right, friends, I know a longer video for me, I know, but I thought, you know what, let's dive in. Let's do a little bit more of a detailed deep dive. So thanks for joining me today. Stay healthy, stay awesome, and I will talk to you again later.